Welcome to Priceless Takes.
And we are live from the Gold Coast, Australia. Welcome back, everyone, to Priceless Takes, episode 53. I am your host, Luka Price, and joining me today is Mr. Reuben Lynn. Reuben, how are you today, my man?
I'm feeling good. Bit nervous about the finals picks, but I'm excited to do some debating today.
Yeah, listen, ladies and gentlemen, the NBA is in full swing. Now, apologies for not being here for a while. I have tried to set up an in-person recording format. However, it hasn't been successful thus far. We are still working on it, but the NBA is full into swing. We are less than 3 weeks away from the playoffs, and there is so much going on. Now, Ruben, I know that you feel the same way. Listen, at the top of the standings right now on the Eastern side, the Celtics are dominating everyone in the Eastern Conference, at least for now. And on the Western side, there is a three-horse race for the one seed in the Western Conference. Now, I want to get your take, Ruben, before we get into the main show. Out of the Thunder, Nuggets, and the Timberwolves, who do you like the best to finish with the number one seed?
That's a tough one because it's, as you said, it's like a three-horse race. I think the Timberwolves, they still have Cat out, and they're not full strength. And the Nuggets don't have Jamal Murray, and they seem to be struggling a bit without him. The Thunder just seem to be on a roll, though. Like, I think they're playing Philadelphia at the minute. I don't know the score, but I know it's a very tight game.
The Thunder were up
I
last
don't
time I
know.
checked.
What was that? Sorry.
The Thunder were up 8 points last time I checked.
Okay, well, I don't know. I think based on health, I think the Thunder should go on top as the one seed. But that doesn't, it's probably not going to replicate in the playoffs, but we can chat about that later.
Yeah, listen, I actually am surprised by that. I thought you were going to have the Nuggets going to take this one seed off the Thunder, which I think the Thunder are going to hold on because they are just doing that little bit extra. But Shai Gilgeous isn't playing today, Ruben, and they're still on top of Philadelphia right now. So they're proving that they can even get it done without their best player, just like the Timberwolves and the Nuggets have continued to also do. Now, for ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that don't know, Ruben and I, amongst Oscar and Tyson too, the panel, we made some preseason predictions for this NBA season. And I want to go back. Obviously, it's not quite the midway point, but we're going to go review our picks. And I want to start off with our finals picks because for those in the audience who don't know, the three guests on my show all took the easy, predictable pick and picked a Boston Celtics Los Angeles Lakers final. And Ruben, I want to know because you're the only one here today. You can speak on behalf of the other two boys. How are you feeling about this Boston Lakers pick right now? Are you still backing it to happen?
I think it's hard because the Lakers are not even a top eight team. But when you consider it, the Western Conference is so competitive. It always seems to be so competitive because look at last season. I think the Lakers were the 7 and 8 seed and they still ended up making the conference finals. The
Yeah.
Celtics are a different beast. Like with that Porzingis matchup, post-up matchups, he's the most efficient in the NBA. It was Draymond Green a couple of years ago with the double post split screens, I think they are. Yeah, I've been trying to get onto that JJ Redick LeBron podcast. It was good, but that's a discussion for another day. I don't know. I just think that the Lakers can still do it to make it into the finals because the in-season tournament, I know they don't take it seriously, but they did win it, and they are considerably quite good against the top teams. I know they're 2-0 against the Bucks, and I think LeBron missed one of those matchups.
No, he missed both of them. He missed both of them.
Yeah, he missed both of them. They were able to beat them, and then they've beaten the Celtics. I think they're 500. The Cavs they've beaten. The Knicks they're 500. I think my only concern is Denver because they are 0-3. But with Jamal Murray out,
Just
and I
a
did
little
look.
concern, Ruben, Denver.
Well, no, but okay, Jamal Murray's out, and I looked at the third quarters. It was a 7-point game, 7 points or less at the end of the
That's
third
fine,
quarter.
but
They
there's four
just
quarters
can't
to a
close.
basketball game, Ruben.
Was that?
There's 4 quarters to a basketball game.
I know, but they just need that closing ability, and I think D'Lo improving, Austin Reeves improving. They have more experience. They've gone through what they did last season. They were so close to get it. I know it doesn't replicate that in the sweep, but they were so close. And I just think that they're going to be able to outshine the Nuggets. The Nuggets are the only concern for the Lakers. I think the Lakers can beat anyone else in their day and in this 7-game series. especially when they're so impressive at home. The big thing for the Lakers is taking out that game one, game two, because more than likely they are going to be away for those games, and they're not as good away. So it's going to be taking about game one or game two. I think they can take it out in game three and four, and it'll probably be 6 or 7 game series in each of those. My also other concern, I mean, this season, AD and LeBron have been able to stick relatively healthy, but how healthy can they be in the playoffs? That's going to be another big factor too.
Well, this is the thing, Ruben. I've been listening around, and a lot of the theories have been that if running into Denver is inevitable, which it seems that it is, wouldn't the Lakers want to be the healthiest they can be and burst them in round one and potentially knock them off, as opposed to being in the conference finals, having gone through 2 rounds already, and even still, say if the Lakers versus whoever, the Mavericks in the second round, and go to a 7 game, absolute grind of a series, and Denver just go and sweep their second round matchup and have a week's extra rest heading into the conference finals. Because that's pretty much what happened last year in the playoffs. Denver had extra rest and they were healthier. Wouldn't you want the Lakers to verse them in round one if they're going to verse Denver at some point?
Well, I mean, it's hard to know. You do make a good point. It'd be good to get them done out of the way. But I think from an entertainment point of view, I would love to see Denver and Lakers because I see them as the two best teams in the West at the moment, even though the record doesn't replicate it. So I think from a logistical point of view, it'd be good to face in the first round, get them out of the way. From an entertainment point of view, which is a bit biased, I think I would love to see them in a conference finals, Lakers Denver rematch. I think that would be a
Listen,
really exciting thing to
listen,
watch.
Ruben, I think you're giving the Lakers too much credit. They're not going to beat Denver. So unless someone else comes and beats Denver for them, which in my opinion, I legitimately believe there's only one team in the Western Conference that can actually beat the Denver Nuggets in a 7 game series. Okay, I believe there's actually one team. And before I get into that, I want to rattle you off some things because I think you brought up some interesting points about the other players against LeBron. If the Lakers do want to have a good playoff run, D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves in particular need to step it up because, quite frankly, both of them become so much more passive when LeBron is playing. And this has been talked about for quite some time. D'Lo averages 5 more points and 5 more assists when LeBron is off, when LeBron doesn't play. Okay, and Austin Reeves averages 5 more points. We've seen so many games where D'Lo had that huge stretch where he was just going absolutely bananas because LeBron wasn't on the court and he was just like, okay, I'll do it myself. And he was just going bang, 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 killing teams. Same with Austin Reeves. He killed Milwaukee twice in both matchups they played against them. So if the Lakers do want to have a playoff run, they need to actually sort their stuff out with LeBron on the court. Now, I don't know if you're going to actually agree with me, but the only team that I believe can actually beat Denver in the Western Conference is the Phoenix Suns. And I think there's a great chance that we see these two teams match up in round one. And that's in the Western Conference. In the East, I give Milwaukee a shot. I give Boston absolutely no shot because I think they're soft. We can talk about that later. When you look at the Phoenix Suns, Booker, KD, and Beal averaged 72 points combined against the Nuggets, all on 50% shooting. And the thing is, they know that they've shown they can actually beat them. And the thing is, Ruben, no one, in my opinion, plays Jokic better in the Western Conference than Nurkic. And this is the other reason why I think the Suns are the only team that can actually beat them. They have the firepower on offense, and they have someone that actually can do good against Jokic and not stop him, but slow him down. I'd be very interested to see if you think there is another team that can beat Denver in the West, because I've looked at it long and hard, and the more I look at it, I genuinely think, and the thing you got to think about, Rube, 7 game series, okay? I'm sure the Lakers could snatch a game off them. I'm sure the Clippers could snatch 2 games off them, but I genuinely think Phoenix is the only team in the West that can actually hang with Denver for a 7 game series.
I I think with the Suns, I think health is a big factor. You can't rely that Booker, Beal, and KD are all going to be on the floor at the same time. And I think the defense is a problem as well because it's fine that Nurkic can contain Jokic for a bit, but then who's going to stop Jamal Murray? Who's going to stop MPJ? And then who's going to stop the Aaron Gordon lob that Jokic absolutely loves
That's what, but
exploiting?
but this is the thing why I like him, because who's going to stop Kevin Durant? Kevin Durant averages 31 points against Denver this season.
I think
And
Aaron
so,
Gordon could lock him down.
you think
He's
so?
got that.
I
Yeah,
disagree.
he's got that perimeter interior defense. I think he could lock him down. I
I
think he
think,
did well in the last season when they played off with each other.
and this is the thing, this is what I'm saying, but Reuben, this is a completely different team. Okay, when you double team Kevin Durant and then you swing it to Booker and then Booker gets it and you swing it to Bradley Beal and he gets it, then he's going to make a shot. And Grayson Allen is shooting 46% from three this year, so maybe he could stink it up in the playoffs potentially. I don't know, but I don't think they got bailed out last year. Okay, with the Phoenix Suns team. Okay, and it just didn't work. DeAndre Ayton's soft and can't put up with Jokic. Nurkic actually can. Okay, Nurkic in the 2 games he's played against Jokic this season, he had 31 points in one game, and in the other game, he shot 9 points, but he only shot 4 field goals, and they still won. So he did what he needed to do to win. Now, when Jokic plays Nurkic, he's averaging 23, 10, and 10 on less than 50% field goal shooting. So it's honestly, give or take, around his average. Whereas when Jokic plays someone like the Clippers, he just absolutely kills them every single game, game after game after game after game. If you can hold Jokic to his average for an entire playoff series, I think any team would take that in the grand scheme of things. And I think that Phoenix actually has the tools to compete with Denver in a 7-game series because they have the offensive firepower to match Denver and to match Jokic.
But where's the defense from the Suns? And I think with the Suns as well, I don't think Beal has been as impressive. And I think Grayson Allen is too volatile because he's sure his averages are well from three, but he can easily have a game where he shoots 20% from three, then have another game that's 60%. It's all about consistency. And I think the Suns, they'll live and die by the three. Kind of like the Celtics. The Celtics have one of the best 3-point percentages this season. I think if the
Do the
Suns want to
Suns
beat
live
the
and die by
Nuggets,
the three? I don't think they do, Ruben.
well, I think Grayson Allen's a really good 3-point shooter. Bradley Beal's a good 3-point shooter, and so is Booker and KD. I don't think they have that much else to their game because they don't have it on the defensive
What else do
floor.
they
There's
need?
no perimeter defense there to stop Jamal Murray or Caldwell Pope or anyone driving to the
Oh,
basket.
Caldwell Pope. Ruben, you're not telling me Caldwell Pope is going to do more damage than who Phoenix have on the offensive side, okay? Phoenix have
He's going to do more
legitimate
damage than Grayson Allen.
playmakers. Really? I don't know about that, Ruben. I've seen Grayson Allen,
He's got championship mentality. He's won 2 rings. He's got that experience. Grayson Allen doesn't have that experience.
I
He's
agree.
got more experience than Beal as well.
Listen, Ruben, for the record, the Suns are 24th in 3-point attempted and they're top 5 in 3-point percentage. So I think that they actually don't live and die by the three based off those stats. But when you have playmakers that they do, this is the type of thing you need to beat Denver, and you need someone that can match the scoring and the playmaking of Jokic and can match the firepower that Jamal Murray brings to the table. Okay? And I know Kevin Durant can do it. Okay, I know Kevin Durant can do it, but Book needs to step up, okay? Because Book, in my opinion, and obviously there's more scorers, but he's declined this season because of that, and this is his chance where he dropped 52 the other night, he had 37 in the first half against the Pelicans. He needs to stand up once in his life. And Bradley Beal, I understand he hasn't had the championship pedigree that Caldwell Pope has, but he has had some decently deep playoff runs getting late into the second round back in his prime with John Wall and the Wizards when he ran into those Celtics teams. So we're not just going to act like he's had no playoff experience at all. I just think that when you look at all the other teams, I think that defensively, Nurkic is the best person in the Western Conference to go up against Jokic, okay? Because Jokic just seems to have his number, all right? And I get AD's a great defensive player, but he, in my opinion, is more of a great rim protector and help defender, okay? Post defense against Jokic, he gets killed. If he didn't get killed, they wouldn't have got swept in the conference finals last year, okay? And Phoenix went out and said goodbye to DeAndre Ayton and got Nurkic for a reason, because that's someone who could actually match Jokic. He scored 33 on him and he held him well. Like, I just think that is legitimately the only team that can beat them in a 7-game series. And I would still pick Denver. And let's not get things twisted.
Yeah. I'd pick Denver. I'd easily pick Denver.
I would still pick Denver. Because I just think that Denver is an absolute lock to go to the finals, which is why I'm so happy that I actually predicted the finals good and said this at the start of the season, because it's what we were originally talking about. I think Denver, aside Durant, Booker, Beal going absolutely nuts in a 7-game series, I think they are just that good, and no one can contain Jokic in a 7-game series. So that's what I think. Before I talk about the East, Reuben, we'll talk about the East. I want to know what you think about the Bucks, because I have the Bucks as my finals pick.
Oh.
You have the Celtics, and I have a lot of strong opinions on the Celtics. So I want to hear if you're sticking with the Celtics or if you like another team in the East.
I was talking to Tyson about this the other day. I'm so disappointed about the Bucks because I had them in the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't have them getting out of the second round now. I don't trust Doc Rivers. He's too much of a bowler. He has 3-1 leads, 3-2 leads that he constantly chokes all the time. And I just think they should have stuck it out with AJ Griffin until it should have at least given him the season. Because everyone was thinking, oh, the Bucks aren't doing great, yada, yada, yada. I think they were still 32-12 with AJ Griffin. And I think there was a little bit of issues in the locker room. But I think you should have sorted it out at the end of the season because I thought they were half decent. I think with Doc now, they just don't have that winning mentality with Doc now. So I just don't rate the Bucks. I still think the Celtics will win because I think they're by far the best team in the Eastern Conference, especially with Drew Holiday, with that perimeter defense, being able to carry the ball, reduce the turnovers. Porzingis, with the ability he can shoot the three at, and exploit the post matchups where he's the most efficient in the NBA. I still think the Celtics are going to be representatives of the East. But I think you pointed this out at the start of the season. The Knicks. I really like the Knicks.
Thank you, Reuben.
I really liked it. I think
my thunder. Thank you so much for validating that.
Look, Luka, the Knicks need to finish second or third. Because if they finish fourth, I think they would match up in the second round, wouldn't they? The Celtics and the Knicks.
Yeah, they would.
Yeah. So they need to get the 2 or the 3 seed. But I think they're the 2 best teams. OG Anunoby pick up in the middle of the season. Absolutely beautiful. I searched it up. They're 15-2 with OG. And I think in a way, Luka, I don't know if you're going to agree with me, but I think Julius Randle and OG getting injured will be a blessing in disguise because of how Tom Thibodeau coaches. He overplays his players, and if OG and Julius Randle was still in this team right now, they'd be averaging over 35 minutes a game, and I'd be worried about their exhaustion. But they're going to be feeling good for the playoffs. They're going to be fully energized. Everyone else will be more tired because they haven't had as much time sidelined, which is why I really like that Knicks team. And the Jalen Brunson, the way he's been able to step up and be that number 1 role in the team, I really like the Knicks team coming up against the Celtics.
Listen, Reuben, you took it out of my hands. I love the Knicks, and you all laughed at me when I called Knicks to the conference finals as a dark horse at the start of the season. But seriously, these guys are ballers, okay? I love everything that this New York Knicks team is about. The only thing I don't love, actually, is Julius Randle, because I don't think that he actually has what it takes to perform in the playoffs. And I think he's got a bit of choke artist to him, Reuben. Now, I think Jalen Brunson is an absolute dog, okay? He is unreal, and he has what it takes. OG Anunoby's won a championship with the Toronto Raptors. I know he has what it takes. And not only were they 15-2, Reuben, but they also had by far the best defense in the NBA. They're already a top 5 defense on the season. They had by far the best defense in the NBA, okay? They got so much chemistry with Josh Hart and Dante DiVincenzo, those Villanova boys. DiVincenzo had another 30-point game today. He's averaging the 3rd most 3-pointers made in the entire NBA this season, okay? Miles McBride, in the departure of RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley, has pretty much taken both of their offensive outputs. He's played unreal, okay? They're having players step up, and I really like what the Knicks are about, okay? Now, the Celtics, okay? And this is the thing, I've had these opinions on the Celtics for a long time, okay?
Yeah.
And I think they are so well built, and they have so many good players that every year they are always going to get to the conference finals or the finals. But I genuinely think with Tatum and Jaylen Brown as their two best players, I genuinely think their ceiling is losing in the finals if they get it that far. Because I just do not think they have what it takes to go all the way, Reuben. And listen, when they got into the finals against the Warriors, it was almost like it was by default, right? They played Miami in the conference finals because who else is there to play in the East at that time? It was
I
really
mean,
a
Jimmy
two-horse
Butler
race.
with that last shot nearly knocked them out in Game 7.
But that's what I mean. But this is the thing. Like, when the Celtics get truly tested, okay, like truly, truly tested, because I just do not think they have what it takes, okay, Ruben? And they frustrate me so much, okay, because in the regular season, they are head and shoulders above so many teams. And I don't know if
Yeah.
you know this, but they are so bad in clutch situations. But because they blow so many teams out, they don't get to clutch situations. Ruben, Jason Tatum in clutch situations, they've had 13 clutch games this year. Jason Tatum averages 2.5 points, 32% field goal, 33% three-pointers, okay? Out of 25 players who have taken 45-plus shot attempts in the clutch, guess where Tatum ranks?
Oh, I
Last.
don't know. I don't think it'd be that
25th.
high, but
25th. He has the worst field goal percentage of 25 of the best players in the NBA who have more than 45 field goal attempts. Okay? And Ruben, the Celtics live and die by the three. I don't know what you were saying. You said
yeah.
it before. But they have 3 more three-point attempts, okay? And granted, they do make a lot of them. But listen, Ruben, in the playoffs, you're not blowing out teams every single game. Maybe in the first round, and maybe a few games in the second round. But when you get to that Final Four, most of the games are a close game, okay? And when you get into a close game, I do not trust Jason Tatum in clutch situations. And if you don't trust the best player in clutch situations, I just don't think you can win. But this is the thing, Reuben. Are they just that much more talented than everyone else that they just get to the finals nearly by default in the same way that they did against the Warriors? Because I would give Celtics one game against Denver, and that's being generous, where they have a hot game in Boston. Okay, you saw what happened when they played in Denver the other week. You saw what happened 3 weeks ago when they played in Boston. Denver absolutely killed them, and Jason Tatum crawled into a shell. He had 7 points in the first 8 minutes against Denver and scored 6 points for the rest of the game. He had a wide open three when they were down 2 with 40 seconds to go, and he completely clanked it. I do not trust the Celtics at all, but I'm worried because there might not be a team that can really test them in the East, that they just cruise to the finals, and that's what I'm worried about, Ruben.
Well, Luca, who do you have winning in the East?
And this is the thing. I'm still going to take Milwaukee, okay? And this is why. Okay, I hate
Even
Doc
with Doc
Rivers.
Rivers.
I hate Doc Rivers, okay? Last year I was on the record saying that Doc Rivers is one of he's the worst coach, but he's the worst when you need him to be the best. That's how I like to put it, because
Yeah.
it's just, no, okay? But listen, I think at the end of the day, Doc Rivers has won a championship before, okay? So he has
That was
done it,
15 years ago, though.
but he did do it, okay?
Yeah.
So, and this is the thing, with the teams that he's been on, okay, those Clippers boys, I don't know. I'm a Clippers fan, and I do give Doc Rivers a lot of the blame, but a lot of the blame also has to go to the players in both the Lob City era and both in the bubble, because Kawhi and Paul George shot a combined 3 for 17 in Game 7 against Denver, okay? And that's not Doc Rivers' fault that they did that, okay? I don't really like Embiid in the playoffs either, okay? And while I understand Doc Rivers was the coach of that team, okay, Embiid, before Doc Rivers got there, okay, has had historically collapsed in the playoffs. Giannis hasn't. He's won a championship, okay? He's
Yeah.
been there before. So if you are a believer that Doc Rivers got carried by the '08 Celtics. Why could he not get carried by Giannis and Dame? You said
With
OG
Damian Lillard,
Anunoby's...
though,
Okay, yeah,
Damian Lillard,
go.
though, has been shocking this season.
Mm,
He,
mm.
he hasn't been the same player, which is part of the problem that they have because he's such a liability in defense. He needs to be able to display in his offense, but it just
That's
hasn't been
fine.
gelling with Giannis at the moment.
That's fine, but they're 17-2 when Damian Lillard scores 30 points. So when Damian Lillard plays great, the team plays great. Okay? They're
But he hasn't
30
been consistent enough, though. I think the Celtics slightly have the edge in the East. I don't think Celtics are winning it, but Celtics have the slight edge. I absolutely agree that Tatum is not the best player when it comes to closing, but I do believe that the core of this team is different to previous years. Because the last couple of years they've had Marcus Smart, they've had Al Horford, they've had a couple other pieces. This season they've brought in Drew Holiday, who is a winner, and they've
But
brought in
why?
Kristaps
But why did
Porzingis.
they let him go from Milwaukee if he's so good? That's obviously something they didn't like about him. Otherwise, they would have
Well, I
kept
think
him.
Drew Holiday's extremely underrated. He provides it on both ends. He provides the scoring and he provides the defense. And I think in the last couple of years, the problem with the Celtics, they didn't have a system. They relied too much on ISOs with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, and there was too much pressure on them. You need a conductor, which I think the conductor has been Derek White. I think his distribution has been better this season. I think Drew Holiday's distribution has been better this season. Basketball is a game of 5-on-5. If they understand their roles and if they can do their roles well, the Celtics, I think they will beat Milwaukee because I just think the matchups suit the Celtics better than the Bucks.
Yeah, listen, I do. I agree to an extent, okay? But listen, I just think that Dame is obviously adjusting, okay, to the new place. The team is obviously adjusting, okay, with having a new coach mid-season. But the thing is, Milwaukee now is in a position where because the Celtics have such a big lead on them, they can really sort of tinker and experiment with how they are going to shape out this roster, okay? Because they have a
Mm.
lot of they still have a lot of things going for them, okay? And if they do face off in a series, Chris Middleton is the big X factor. Because Chris Middleton, when they did win the championship, he was that guy. Okay? Now, I'm still believing, okay, but I think there's a very good chance that he is past it because of all of his injuries, okay? But he's still there, okay? Now, they have some pieces. I still think if you put them in a series, because the way it's seeded, they're going to have to meet in the conference finals if they do meet up against each other.
Yeah.
Okay. But right now, as the standings are, the Knicks would have to verse the Celtics in the second round, but they're only a half a
Yeah.
game out of the third spot. So, because I don't think the Knicks can beat the Bucks. I think the Bucks play very well against the Knicks. Historically, they just have. I think the Bucks are a very bad matchup for the Knicks. I think if I was the Knicks,
Yeah.
I would rather play the Celtics than the Bucks. That's just me, personally.
So wait, so if you're the Knicks, you'd rather play the Celtics and the Bucks?
I would rather play the Celtics. Giannis has dominated the Knicks throughout his career. Okay, Giannis has just completely and utterly dominated the Knicks, and I think the Knicks. And this is the thing: is OG Anunoby going to take Giannis? Maybe, but OG Anunoby, in my opinion, was brought in to guard Tatum and Brown. Okay, not to guard Giannis. Okay, Mitchell Robinson's a good rim protector. They have Hartenstein. Okay, OG Anunoby can guard Giannis, but I think he's the type of player that you put on a Jason Tatum and you say wreak havoc, or you put him on Jaylen Brown and you say wreak havoc. Because Julius Randle's probably going to be matched up against Giannis if they do play, right? If I were
Yeah.
the Knicks, I just think that they're a better matchup for the Celtics than the Bucks are. I just think the Bucks have too much size, and the Celtics do have size. Porzingis isn't like Porzingis and Giannis are two different players. Like Giannis is scary.
Yeah.
Like I'm not scared of Porzingis. Like Porzingis is like, you know, he's just not not your traditional, stuffed big man. He's a bit, I don't know. I just think I don't know. I'm still taking Milwaukee because I'm not going to shy away from my pick. Okay, I don't like to
Yeah.
flip my picks, Ruben. I'm still taking Milwaukee. There is another team I do want to talk to you about, though, Ruben, and that's the Philadelphia 76ers. Joel Embiid playing tonight. Okay, now I don't know what the score of the game is. I'm pretty sure the Thunder beat them. I'll tell you right now. No, never
I think
mind.
that.
Philadelphia came back. Philly came
Oh,
back. They came back and won by 4. Joel Embiid had 24 points,
wow.
7 assists, 6 rebounds in 29 minutes.
I
So,
saw what was his field goal percentage though? Because I didn't think he was shooting
great
that well.
question. He was 3 of 8 when I first saw. I don't know what it was anymore, but that
It'll
was
take
without,
Embiid
that was without
time to get
Tyrese
back.
Maxey. Well, this is the thing, Ruben, because Embiid always gets injured in the playoffs. Can Philadelphia do something if Joel is hitting his stride right into the playoffs? They're going to be in the play-in. They're going to be in the play, excuse me, unless something unforeseen happens, but they're going to be in the play-in. Okay. Can Philadelphia upset Boston in round 1? Or the Bucks
I'm,
in round 1? I don't know. With a healthy
I don't
Embiid,
I don't
this
think
could
they
be this could
can.
this could be the first playoff run Embiid is fully healthy for in his whole career, which is nuts to think about because he's just coming off an injury. But that's the reality that we're living in right now.
It's going to take Embiid time to get back to that form he was in because, as you said, they were 26 and 8. He was averaging 35 and 11, I think it was. He was even
Yeah.
diming the ball as well. It's going to take him time. And outside of Maxi and Embiid, who do they have? And I know Maxi, he's had a couple injuries this season. Embiid's been out for a long time. Like the Suns, I just don't trust their health in comparison to the competition in the East. If they had that extra piece, like maybe a James Harden, it'd be a different discussion. But I just don't see who else can step up for them outside of Maxi and Embiid for them to have a long run in the Eastern Conference.
I mean, yeah, I agree, but they got Nick Nurse in for a reason. Nick Nurse is a championship coach. Do you not think that the style of play he runs? He brought in Kyle Lowry, who's aging but works his system. Tobias Harris needs to do something eventually.
Yeah,
Okay. All I've been
yeah,
seeing this week is how he's the highest paid player ever to not make an All-Star game. He's made 210
I,
million in career earnings. Okay. Kelly Oubre's not a bad player. Kelly Oubre's a good player. Like, he's good too. All right. Like they have some pieces in Philadelphia, but they're
okay,
only going to go as far as Joel Embiid takes them, and that's what I think we
yeah.
both agree on.
See, the great thing about the Nuggets is that Jokic, he doesn't just have the scoring. He's got the playmaking. He's got the rebounding. He lifts everyone up. If Jokic was in that 76ers team, I think they would do better than if they had Embiid. By the way that he can lift everyone up, and with that basketball IQ, I think he's got more intelligence to Embiid. I'm not saying that Embiid's a bad player, but he's got that natural IQ where he can read the game really well, make the right read. So it doesn't matter whether he gets double teamed, one on one, he makes the right decision. Embiid, I'm not as sure about. So I think if Jokic was in that 76ers team, they could do a lot better than if Embiid was in that team.
Yeah, but they're two different types of players, Ruben. I think Joel Embiid is a pure scorer. Okay, he's a pure
I think the
scorer.
76ers
Jokic.
need more than that, though, to go far. That's what I'm trying to say. Because they
Well,
only have Maxi and Embiid.
well,
I
what
think
what
everyone
did it?
else.
But the last year they had Harden, it didn't matter.
Well, Harden averaged like 22 and 10. He was the playmaker for the team. Maxi was the scorer, and Embiid
Yeah, until
was
it
the
until
big
it
man.
mattered the most. Then Harden, what did he do? He shot 2 for 13 in the game 7.
But where's the distribution and the playmaking going to come from the 76ers? They don't have that naturally in that team.
Well, I
Because
think
you got two scorers in that team. But then how do you get everyone else involved? How does everyone else step up?
I don't know. I think that Nick Nurse can make it work. I trust Nick Nurse as a coach, and I think that this is the first time that Philadelphia have actually had a coach. I think that can lift them over the top. Because I didn't think Doc could do it because Embiid has always been iffy in the playoffs. Okay, and then
Yeah.
before, who they even had before? Was it Brett Brown? Or was there someone in between them? Who did they have in between Brett Brown and?
Oh,
Doc Rivers.
I don't remember. But I think who Philadelphia would
Um,
need right now is Ben Simmons. I think Ben Simmons would be perfect in this Philadelphia team.
no, rubbish. He
Well,
would
he'd
not
be
be.
that third player that they'd need to like step up if Maxi
You
and
can't,
B.
you can't, you can't talk about healthy players and and not.
Well, I'm talking about Ben Simmons before that Hawks series.
No, there was
I
no one in between Brett Brown and Doc Rivers. There you go.
look. Nick Nurse is a good coach, but who is Nick Nurse going to make better in the playoffs? Because like
Embiid,
Eric Spoelstra, right? He
no
made
one, no
Caleb
one, no
Martin
one.
better and other players
Yeah.
better. But then who's going to elevate for the 76ers outside Maxi and Embiid? Who will elevate?
Well, listen, no, when Kawhi got traded to Toronto, no one was saying, oh, yeah, this is the championship team that with Toronto. He elevated them in the playoffs. He elevated Norman Powell in the playoffs. He elevated Danny Green in the playoffs, an aging Danny Green. Kawhi elevated in the playoffs. Fred VanVleet elevated in the playoffs. I think he could elevate him in the playoffs
But
completely.
that Toronto team is better than the current 76ers team. They had better pieces than the current 76ers team. They
Well,
were more of a team that had individual roles that gelled well in their system.
listen,
I don't
I
think the
think, I
76ers
think,
have the
I
same
think,
pieces.
I think you're overlooking that this could be Embiid's first actually healthy playoff run and what that means. I think you are overlooking that because he is that good that he can be the difference maker. Okay? He can be
Okay.
the difference maker. He is that good. Okay? I wouldn't take them, but when I say that there's only three teams and two of them are in the East that can beat the Nuggets, I think it's the Bucks and the Sixers because of the matchup against Jokic. I don't give the Celtics a shot. I already said this. I wouldn't give the Knicks a shot. I certainly wouldn't give anyone else a shot. Okay? I think it's only Giannis and Embiid in the Eastern Conference who have a chance against Jokic.
I think the best teams in the comp right now, my top three would be the Nuggets, the Lakers, and the Celtics. If I had to choose another team from the East, it would probably
Why
be
the
the Knicks.
Lakers? What are the Lakers doing right now? The Mavericks are playing
They
better
they've
than the
won they've
Lakers.
won the they've won the Eden season tournament.
Who
They've done
cares?
well against 500 teams above 500, except for the Nuggets. But the Nuggets don't have Jamal Murray right now. That's their only worry.
Well,
They can go through
he's
everyone
supposed to
else
be
in any
coming back.
given
He's
day.
supposed to be coming back tomorrow, Reuben. So I don't know. Listen, we do have to move on because I do want to talk about the MVP. Okay, I had Giannis, you had Jokic. You're looking like you're in good stead for that right now. Jokic is 26, 12, and 9 on the season, 58% field goal, team record 52 and 23. Do you still think Jokic deserves to be the MVP despite you picking him at the start of season? What is your analysis, Reuben?
The metrics of the MVP, I don't know how you feel about it, but I think the goalposts get
Oh, I
changed
hate
every
it.
season.
I hate it
It's
so
all
much.
about context and contextualization. Like when I was making a criteria for the definition of an MVP, I had team record, individual statistics, their sheer brilliance, how much they impact offense and defense, how much they lift the team. So that's with and without them. So like Ja Morant, for example, right? Like 2 seasons ago, very good shot to win MVP, but he couldn't win it because without him and Tyus Jones in the starting lineup, they were 18 and 7. What I had something else as well, but I think it's also sheer intelligence. It's the IQ within the game, how much you can lift the players up. So I think Jokic does that the best out of all the teams. And I still think that Jokic will win the MVP based on the current narrative being portrayed in the NBA. I think the only person outside of that could be Shea. I would be willing to say Tatum maybe because they have the best record, best player in the best team. But as you
No.
highlighted earlier, they were 0-2 against the Nuggets. So I
Best
don't.
best player on the
That was
best
Tatum's
team
chance
is the most
to
hogwash
show he was
argument
MVP.
ever.
But
Listen, Ruben, the MVP metrics frustrate me so much. There's a lot of things that frustrate me about the NBA, and we're talking about it today. I just that I do not see how it would because I understand all the criteria you were talking about, okay? But really what matters is stats, record, and narrative, okay? And those are the three things that matter, okay? Because currently, Jokic is averaging 26, 12, and 9, okay? 58% field goal. Shea is averaging 31, 6, and 7 while leading the NBA in steals, and they are the 1 seed. So I'm like, give credit where credit is due. Like, this guy is doing something incredible. There's only
Oh yeah,
like three people that are scoring above 30 in the NBA this year. Okay, and this is the other thing. Jokic has won the MVP, being the 6th seed before, because they're like, oh yeah, like he made the team so much better around him. And this is the other problem I have with the narrative. Okay, on the latest rankings, Doncic was at 5. Doncic was averaging nearly 10 more points than Jokic, more assists than Jokic, and he's got a steal and a half a game, and Jokic has got a couple more rebounds with a 45 and 29 record, okay, which is the 5th seed. But if he was in the Eastern Conference, they'd be challenging for the 2 seed. So if the seeding matters so much, why does it matter if he's in the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference? Because they're a game behind the Bucks, theoretically. So I just don't understand, because Luka's having a historic season. There's only been 4 players who have averaged 34 plus a game. Kobe did it. Michael Jordan did it. James Harden did it. I really want to remember the other person that did it, but I can't. And Doncic is going to do it.
yeah.
Okay? So I think that Jokic being the MVP, he's deserving. But when you look at Shea and Doncic, and even Giannis to an extent, he's got 5 more points a game than Jokic. And I think it's unfair to Milwaukee because of all the controversy with the coach, and everyone's downplaying them but they're still the 2 seed in the East, and they have just as good of a record as Denver does, really. Like, there's not that much difference. If the Nuggets had won 65 games like the Celtics are doing, I'd understand the record. But I think for the amount of the stats of the other guys, and the fact that they haven't won the MVP, and particularly in the Thunder's case, how they are actually doing better than the Nuggets, I do not think, and I said the same thing last year, because I thought Jokic was going to win it last year again. It's basically the same thing. And last year they decided to give it to Embiid, but this year they're all just back on the Jokic train. And it's they talk. You talk. There's something else I want to say.
Well, yeah. Well, they just. I'm worried. It's all about the narrative, and I think the narrative is heavily favored to Jokic. I don't know about you, but I feel like there's a bit of remorse about giving it to an Embiid last season, and then the 76ers doing terrible, and then the Nuggets ended up winning it overall. And I think they're trying to expect Jokic
that
more.
Shouldn't matter.
But I don't know. I really like Jokic. I think Jokic is a really good player. But I think with the way that Shea has been able to elevate that Thunder team, I think he's kind of more deserving of Jokic than what Shea is. Because I think the pieces that the Nuggets have are better than the pieces in what the Thunder have. So Shea has had more of a job to try and carry that. And they're one of the youngest teams, Thunder, in the league.
They are the youngest.
And they're that 1 seed. Yeah, they're youngest. And they still have, how many more draft picks that Sam Presti has been able to pick up? Ridiculous amount. I think I don't think the Thunder are going to make it far because they don't have enough playoff experience. And I think next season they need one more piece to elevate that Thunder team to another level. And I think that's exactly why, because the Thunder are worse than the Nuggets. So I think, logically, I would say that Shea should be MVP. Especially if they're able to keep the 1st seed. Because who said at the start of the season the Thunder were going to be the 1 seed? I said top 3. I never thought they were going to be the 1 seed.
No.
Not with the Nuggets in the way.
No, not at all. And, like, even still, like, I just think that when you look at it, and this is the thing that more annoys me, is I could understand if Jokic wins it, but I don't even think this is going to be close. Like, I think Jokic is going to win an absolute landslide based on what the narrative seems to be. And I think that these other players need more credit than what they're getting, okay? Reuben, I want to finish because we were talking about Doncic, okay? And we had our picks at the start of the season. Now, I hate to tell the audience that I did hit on both of my picks, because how about the Orlando Magic, guys? Like, sitting at the 5 seed, absolutely balling with Paolo Banchero at the helm, okay? So I will give myself a pat on the back for having the Magic as my surprise team. Okay, same to you, Reuben. You were there, right there with the Thunder. But I don't know, you can debate about, I think the Magic's, in my opinion, I might be biased because I picked them, but I think the Magic is more of a surprise than the Thunder, to be completely honest with you.
Well, I was kind of expecting it because you look at Memphis the last couple of seasons, right? You have teams that can perform really well in the regular season, but not be able to replicate in the playoffs, which I think the Thunder are. Because the Grizzlies, before they were the 2 seed 2 years in a row, they're like 8 or 9 seed.
Yeah,
Thunder were in the same projections, which is why I could see that projection. So I think the Magic is more impressive. But
yeah, because
can
the
I just
Magic of the Magic, they're just
can I just
bad.
mention can I just mention one other surprise team that
Please,
no one's
yeah,
talking about? Indiana.
yeah, I
I
agree.
thought they were going to be 14, 15. I thought they'd be tanking. But the Pascal Siakam pickup, the pieces that they have, the way that Halliburton has stepped up in that team, I think the Kings Pacers trade was a win-win for both teams. I think it's been incredibly impressive. The Pacers, like, they could be a dark horse in this playoffs because they are a team.
They are, but they play no defense. I think they could win a round. I'd be tempted to pick them
Yeah.
against Cleveland because I just think Cleveland I just can't stand Cleveland. I think Donovan Mitchell might leave.
And then
So
Jared
I
Allen, I
think
think, is too much of a liability in the playoffs, kind of like a Rudy
yeah.
Gobert.
I'd be last year. All of them said the lights were too bright for us. Like, so what's going to change this year? Like
Well, I
nothing.
think that the centers, right, I don't rate the Timberwolves in the playoffs because I think Gobert is a liability. And I think Jared Allen has the same issues, which is why the Cavs and the Timberwolves, I just don't rate them as a team making. I don't really, I'm not really impressed by them. Like, regular season, they've done well, but they kind of remind me of the Utah Jazz when they were the 1 seed in the bubble and then
Yeah.
the season after. Really impressive regular season, but then playoffs, I just don't think they can replicate it with the pieces they've got.
Yeah, listen, I agree. I'm very interested to see how these playoffs work out. We'll have plenty more time to talk about it. I do want to move on to our disappointment picks of the season because once again, Ruben,
Oh,
and
yeah.
this, I didn't mean to
He had a
upset you at the
stinker.
start of the season when
Yeah.
when I saw this pick coming, but I'm sorry that your Grizzlies just didn't work out. And I did see
Yeah,
it coming. I hate that Ja Morant got injured because that kind of disqualified my pick a little bit because I didn't think
yeah.
they were going to be this disappointing. I thought they were going to be disappointing by their standards, but I still don't really know how they would have gone if Ja was healthy when he
Well,
was healthy.
I don't know because I just don't rate the Marcus Smart pickup. I didn't think we need Marcus Smart. I think we needed a 3 and D player. OG Anunoby would be perfect in this Grizzlies team. I think we needed someone like I don't think we need Marcus Smart and Triple J. I love him defensively. He's not a number one on any team. He's just
No,
too volatile offensively,
he is.
and he
Well,
just
he had
doesn't
40
have that
last
much of a
night,
post game.
but that's your
He
point.
relies too much on the three, so yeah, it's been disappointing, but hopefully he can bounce back next season. I don't know what our plan is going to be in the off
Mm.
season.
And once again, for the audience who doesn't know, the three panelists who I have on also made another cowardice pick and was
Yeah, that was
basic
bad.
and chose the Mavericks to be their disappointment
Yeah,
team of the season. And they are all been proven completely wrong because they are actually playing very well. And I hope they verse the Clippers in the first round because I reckon the Clippers will get them again. But
yeah.
honestly, I know, maybe not you. I guarantee you Oscar and Tyson are going to take Dallas in a round one series against the Clippers. And
I'm 50-50.
I think
I think
more
it
than
depends on Kawhi.
half of the NBA world is going to take Dallas to beat the Clippers because the Clippers hate is just ridiculous.
I just I
And the
think the
Harden
Clippers
hate.
are built around regular season players. Paul George, James Harden, Russell Westbrook. Kawhi's the only winner in that team. I think that's why there's that certain narrative. I think when you look, I'm disappointed. Well, the Mavericks pick I'm disappointed about. The reason I did choose that though was the defense, but the pickup of Gafford and then Grant Williams until he got traded, and then PJ Washington and the other pieces that go around them. The Mavericks have done really well. Luke has done really well, but I still wouldn't put him as MVP because of how good Kyrie Irving is. And I think if Shea had that same help, if Shea had Kyrie Irving as well,
No.
I would say the same thing. And Luca is a
Man,
defensive liability.
man, I'm not worried about Shea. I'm more worried about how much better is Kyrie than Jamal Murray. That's my question. I think that puts Jokic down more than Shea.
Yeah, I think it's hard because I think recency bias would say Jamal Murray's a better player. I think especially when you've seen how he's been able to close games, like especially in that Lakers series, because within the fourth quarter, I think all those games were within 12 points or less. But Jamal Murray was that main difference in that team, and which is why the Nuggets are so unstoppable. With Kyrie, he's had his off court stuff, and I don't know how good the defense is going to be in being able to contain someone like a Jokic or a Kawhi Leonard or a Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. I'm impressed by the Mavericks, but I don't know if they can replicate in the playoffs. I think there's a
Yeah,
difference between a regular season team and a playoff team.
I think the Mavericks, like the Pacers, still have problems to address defensively. And I think that in a 7-game series, I just think that you're eventually going to get caught out with the Mavericks because
Oh
they
yeah,
are so firepower offensively. And that's why I think they keep running into the Clippers wall, because the Clippers, for the most part, have just been a little bit better when they've played off in the past. I still think the Clippers are just a little bit better, but Doncic is going to wow everyone and have all the games. But I still think the Clippers are going to win. But we can talk about that next week when everyone else is on, because Reuben, that is all we have time for today. That is all, everyone, for Priceless Takes, episode 53. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure to follow us on social media on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube. If you are viewing this on YouTube, go on to our Spotify. Reuben, thank you for joining me. I will see you next week.
Luka, thank you for having me on.
That
Appreciate
is
it.
all for Priceless Takes, episode 53. I am your host, Luka Price, and we will see you next time.